Hi, my name is Nigel Topping. I'm the CEO of We Mean Business.
And I'm Jeremy Oppenheim. I'm the Program Director of the Business Commission for Sustainable Development.
So, Jeremy, I've been thinking about some of the struggles that leaders have in coming to terms with not just climate change, which I'm focused on, but the full range of SDGs.
Yeah.
It seems to me one of the challenges is that we're not collectively very good at thinking about the future. You look at some of why are we so surprised that solar costs are coming down? Like, people who study technology cost curves have kind of known that for ages. I'm just wondering, so my sense is in the climate world, we've now got a much more sort of Paris and all of the non-state actors and all the commitments and the policy framework has given people much more of a confidence in a very different future. So how are we going to do the same around the Sustainable Development Goals? Like, create a belief in a future that for many people is very difficult to imagine at the moment, given some of the challenges that we've got.
No, I think what's happened with solar is just a wonderful example of how one goes from a complicated conversation about climate and energy systems and the need for this very difficult transformation to something that people can get their heads around. And it's no surprise that the way it took off in Germany on people's rooftops and changed the understanding of that technology, and it made it real for people in their lives. And the same is true with the Tesla. It makes the whole thing real.
Have you put your order down for your Tesla Model 3?
I haven't, because I'm going for a Bolt. But I might actually go for the new Mahindra car.
Yeah.
Right. That's coming out at 13,000 quid. So $20,000.
And the Indian government are talking seriously about 100% of domestic vehicles being electric by 2030.
Right. So
this is a good example for me of
all of a sudden,
the
we're not talking about climate change, and we're not talking about the SDGs. We're talking about products that people want that make their lives better.
400,000 Teslas Model 3s ordered in 2 weeks.
Right, that's cheaper, that actually do stuff that the existing products don't, and they might be cleaner, or they may actually, if you buy an electric car, the maintenance costs are lower, right? The engine actually works better. If you buy one in London, of course, you get into the congestion zone for nothing, right? So I think the more we can turn this whole story from being about complex systems and about sustainable development, because nobody quite knows what that is in the business world, and into products and services and markets, then we're in territory that engages at least the business world, and it's easy. And I think it engages consumers as well.
So on climate, it feels like we made a lot of progress. Like, remember when we in the Secretary General Summit, September 2014, a lot of these collaborative initiatives were launched.
Right.
And the first companies like IKEA and Mars started
to come through,
that they would go 100% renewables. That seemed like, to a lot of people, like really, really a stretch. Now there's about 70 companies done that. I think we've gone to now nearly 150 companies have committed to science-based targets. It's becoming normal. On the SDG, is climate unique? Is energy unique among the SDGs? Are we going to be able to find a kind of simple that we've got to get to define all the SDGs, or are there some SDGs which are going to be more challenging?
No, some will be easier than others, right? So you go down the end hunger route, and actually I think we know what to do, right? And I mean, you can tell a complicated story, but I can also tell you a story about how to tackle food waste and how to deal with nutrition and how to effectively improve underlying health related to, so we can do those things, and I can turn that into markets and products and businesses. So there's some of them that I think are relatively straightforward, right, and are goalable, right, and there are others which I think just end up being a lot more complicated, and even, for example, the language of partnerships, right, which is itself one of the SDGs. I don't know that we want to set a goal specifically about that. I think what we want to do is do some learning about the partnerships that have worked and the partnerships that haven't, and we know some basic things. Partnerships that work typically have a clear goal, create value for all partners, there is a basis upon which actually that value gets shared, right? The risks are distributed in a sensible way. So making sure that we get those lessons in place is important. But not everything, I think, will be like climate, and that's kind of okay, right? Let's not try and force everything.
And it reminds me of the last thing. I think that means we have to also make sure we have honest conversations about, like some of the things we do with the Energy Transitions Commission, where we tend to get really polarised, like all this, all X, or all Y, and in fact we need to have a different conversation in the middle. So I think we need to wrap it up.
But I think the other thing which is really good about climate is that you take the people who are working on zero deforestation supply chains, and then not just thinking carbon. No, right? So the Unilevers and all of them, the senior masters, these guys are going, yes, it's about carbon, but also in their head they're beginning to wrap in the biodiversity conversation, and they're thinking about this from a smallholder community perspective. And so in a way, I think carbon and climate is an entry point
for many more of the SMEs,
and it's a particularly powerful one because we know a bit about it, and there's a time frame.
And we've got quite a lot of momentum.
We've got to get that one done fast, and so it can actually act as an engine to drive through some of the others. So I don't see this as being a horse race between the climate agenda and the rest of the sustainability. It is actually incredibly synergistic, and what we need to do is take advantage of the kind of the 3-5 year head start that we've got on climate and use it to pull through the rest of the agenda.
Agreed. Great. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you as well.